So apparently when it comes to Zebec, they said they're going to be announcing more soon. Now let me explain what I mean by that, even though nothing I say is financial advice, and even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything, this is again just purely my perspective. So Zebec recently made a post not too long ago, kind of, I guess, reminding people about their partnership in regard to Stellar. But here's the thing. They say that their native Stellar in regard to the payroll app is on track, and they say they look forward to sharing more soon. Wow, that's the thing. And we already know that Zebec officially landed in Las Vegas. And of course, that's for the XRP Las Vegas conference. But even besides that, this stellar partnership as of right now is kind of being overshadowed by this hypothetical belief in some cases that Simon, the CEO of Zebec, may be announcing a hypothetical Ripple partnership at XRP Las Vegas. So we'll have to wait and see when it comes to that. But because we still haven't seen anything when it comes to that, and because that event is from April 30th to May 1st, in the meantime, even though the stellar partnership already happened, it's kind of being overshadowed by that again, right? But it doesn't, I think, kind of diminish the stellar partnership in any sort of way, because stellar is very massive. That's the thing. So if they're still, kind of reminding people about this and still even, right, planning for more moving forward. I mean, what are they planning? I have no idea. I don't know the exact details, but of course we'll have to wait and see. But still, we've already seen that stellar partnership and them even making a reminder about this and saying how they look forward to sharing more soon. That does bring a smile to my face, because of course, when I take a look at that, I just find it very impressive. Now, in the grand scheme of things, though, people like to say, but no one cares about this. Well, I beg to differ, because if I take a look at, let's say in the case of XLM, right? Let's just take a look at how massive that is. Market cap around 5.3 billion as of right now. Zebec around 300 million currently. So of course, if we take a look at Zebec's current market cap, over 15 times lower than XLM. That's number one. Number two, we take a look at also in the case of Stellar, a lot of fans, bigger community when it comes to Zebec. And also, let's take this into consideration. The Stellar blockchain just has, I guess, really fantastic fundamentals, arguably some people would like to say. The reason why is because the Stellar blockchain, it's known for its speed. That's the thing. What do enterprises often care about? Efficiency, speed, right? And I do hypothetically sometimes see that when it comes to Stellar. Now, I'm not telling anyone to do anything, and I'm just talking about a partnership, again, when it comes to Stellar in regard to Zebec and just the fundamentals about Stellar. But I'm just saying, still, enterprises out there, they do care about speed. Now, some people like to say, but who cares about that? Like, let's say if they're only saving a couple milliseconds or whatever, like, who cares? But let's just think about this logically speaking. If, let's say, there's a certain action, right? And an enterprise, let's say one adopts a certain technology, the other one adopts a different technology. Let's say one does it in 2 milliseconds less than the other. Now, that may seem very trivial. It's like 2 milliseconds, who cares about that? But if let's say that action is done thousands of times a day, we multiply that over months, over years, that starts to add up. That's the thing. It may seem very kind of minuscule in the beginning, but eventually over time, over days, weeks, months, years, eventually we start to see that gap kind of become bigger and bigger. That's the thing, right? So that's why when it comes to Stellar, I think having speed as its advantage is actually not such a bad thing. Even though some people like to tell me, who cares about the marginal differences? Well, I think I care. And I think more importantly, a lot of these enterprises out there do care about that. And I think maybe, right, because of these fundamentals, there's probably a reason why MoneyGram decided to extend their 5-year partnership in regard to Stellar. I think that could have been maybe hypothetically one of the reasons. Now, do I have any sort of idea if that is the exact reason or not? No, but this is just my hypothetical kind of analogy, right? Because I'm assuming that if they want to extend a partnership, they'd probably care about the fundamentals, of course. But I'm just saying, besides that point though, when I take a look at, let's say in the case of Zebec, people like to say, oh, they're not really caring about this. Well, I think they are, right? I mean, if we take a look at, let's say in the case of Zebec, first of all, if being focused on compliance is something people consider to be a criteria for the team caring about the project, Well, I think arguably Zebec has already kind of checked that box in a sense, where if we take a look at it, Zebec, they've achieved ISO 20022, MICA, and SOC2. That I think highlights kind of the conviction and kind of their sort of dedication in regard to compliance in a sense, right? And I think also on top of that, if we take a look at Zebec, just fundamentally speaking, it's focused primarily on the global trade and finance market, in which case Stellar is. Now, I think the Stellar and Zebec partnership was as if, right? Let's say Jack in the Box had a partnership with like KFC, or let's say Jack in the Box had a partnership with Popeyes, or let's say Popeyes had a partnership with Chick-fil-A, something like that. I just feel like it's a very impressive sort of collaboration in a sense, right? Even though it's a little bit different, but I think you get what I mean. When I take a look at, let's say in the case of Zebec, people like to tell me that, okay, but what are they really going to do in the next 5 or 10 years? Well, I like to take it one step at a time. That's the thing. I mean, if I think too much about what's going to happen too many years down the line, I'm just going to confuse myself, because how would I know what they're going to do in that time horizon, right? I mean, that's so far away. What I'm going to focus on is what they have at hand, in which case we already know that they're planning more soon in regard to Stellar. We already know that. Second of all, we do know that Simon, their CEO, like I mentioned earlier on the video, is planning to make a major announcement at XRP Las Vegas. We already know that. We know those two things right there. So that's what I'd rather focus on. If I'm focusing on what they're going to do 5 years later, what's the point? Personally, for me, even over a year ago, when I first started to believe in Zebec, when the market cap was below 100 million, did I know that they're going to be doing all this? No, I did not, right? And that was just over a year ago. It wasn't like 3 years ago or whatever, you know what I mean? But even besides that point, when it comes to Zebec, if even let alone over a year ago, when I first believed in Zebec, I didn't know all of this was going to happen, let alone 5 years later, right? That's the thing. But I'm just saying, ever since I started believing in Zebec, they've achieved ISO 20022 compliance. We've already seen a Stellar partnership. We already see a partnership when it comes to Algorand. So at the end of the day, really, when I take a look at Zebec, I can't say that I'm angry, because if I actually take a look at it, just logically speaking, I believed in it first when the market cap was below 100 million. As of right now, the market cap is around 300 million. Is it doing the best? No. But really, it's like, you know, when I first believed in it, it was over 3 times lower than where it is as of right now. Granted, did it have a pullback when compared to its peak last year? Yes, of course. But I'm just saying, at the end of the day, the market as of right now just isn't doing the best. And you know what? If Zebec's still kind of holding up like this when the market isn't doing the best, then I'm just going to stay patient. That's my perspective. I don't know how long I'm going to have to wait, but I'll wait. That's the thing. I don't mind waiting, actually, if I like the fundamentals. That's just personally my perspective, but granted, when it comes to Zebec as of right now, things may not be looking the most exciting, but what happens if the market hypothetically really does pick up? And what happens if they announce more soon in regard to Stellar? That's the thing. So that's why I haven't given up, but I'm not telling anyone to do anything. But I'll be sure to make more updates moving forward. So hopefully y'all stay tuned for that. I just want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a very nice day. I'm out. Peace. Bye.